Today, I want to talk about one of my favorite movies of all time, The Good, the Bad, and the Ugly. And I hope that by the end of this video, you'll be convinced as well that this film represents cinematic perfection. The Good, the Bad, and the Ugly is a spaghetti western film by Sergio Leone, released in 1966. Originally intended as a parody on the Western genre, it became a legendary classic, and for me, one of the absolute greatest movies of all time. It's the last film of the so-called Dollars trilogy of films with director Sergio Leone and starring Clint Eastwood as the man with no name. In the story world, it actually serves as a prequel to the first two films, A Fistful of Dollars and For a Few Dollars More. At the end of this film, you even see Clint Eastwood pick up the poncho that he wears in the other two films. However, as with those two movies, The Good, the Bad, and the Ugly can be viewed as a standalone film, and the stories are not connected, and while there are recurring actors, there are no recurring characters except the man with no name, perhaps. For those of you who don't know, the story of this film is centered around three characters: Blondie, the good, Angel Eyes, the bad, and Tuco, the ugly. The three rival gunslingers are on the hunt for a cash box buried in a cemetery containing $200,000 in gold coins. The American Civil War serves both as backdrop and a recurring obstacle to their hunt for the gold. Shifting alliances and betrayals among the good, the bad, and the ugly lead to an entertaining adventure in the war-torn Wild West. Now we enter the part of this review where I will analyze the movie in detail, so spoilers ahead. You have been warned. The main reasons why I love The Good, the Bad, and the Ugly can be categorized into four topics: characterization, music, cinematography, and suspense. Let's break this down. Characterization. This movie wouldn't be the same without its three titular characters, portrayed perfectly by Clint Eastwood, Lee Van Cleef, and Eli Wallach. The good, known as Blondie, is a clever and talented gunslinger. He's a man of very few words and loves to smoke his cigars, to the point where he can be reliably tracked down by his trail of discarded cigars. He doesn't take any nonsense, as demonstrated when he leaves Tuco alone in the desert after he keeps complaining. However, overall, Blondie has a good heart. We often see him comforting dying soldiers by offering them alcohol and cigars in their final moments. As we see Blondie shoot off the noose around Tuco's neck and try to shoot it off of another convicted criminal called Shorty, it seems that Blondie acts as a kind of guardian angel for convicted criminals.
A golden-haired angel watches over him.
Except those criminals who get in his way, of course. As a result, although Blondie might be the most moral among the outlaws, and thus deservedly named the good, he's still very much an outlaw. The ugly, Tuco, is the ultimate survivor.
I'm alive, you bastards, and I always will be.
While he often serves as the butt of many jokes, he definitely shouldn't be underestimated. He's a skilled gunslinger like Blondie, able to take on three enemies at once. He's strategic, being able to distract Blondie with his friends while he stealthily approaches from behind. He's able to escape captivity, and he always comes prepared, even taking a bath with his revolver. Thus, Tuco is a worthy opponent for Blondie, and his portrayal by Eli Wallach is Oscar-worthy. But while he might be quite cruel when he seeks revenge, as when he forces Blondie to suffer in the desert with no water or shelter from the brutal sun, Tuco's not as cold-blooded as our main antagonist, the bad. In the two previous films of the Dollars trilogy, Gianmaria Volonte, played as the main villain. In The Good, the Bad, and the Ugly, the antagonist, the Bad, known as Angel Eyes, is performed by Lee Van Cleef, who in the movie For a Few Dollars More actually played an ally of Clint Eastwood's character. He is a great actor in both roles, but I am very glad he plays here the villain, as he really excels with his calm, calculating demeanor. And when he cracks a smile, you see the bloodlust in his eyes. He's a ruthless assassin, and the introduction shows that he'll gladly kill anyone, even his employer, as long as he gets paid. By the way, I like the detail that Angel Eyes is only labeled the bad, not after killing the man and his son or shooting Baker, but only once he laughs about it. It is interesting, though, that of our three main characters, Angel Eyes actually kills the least amount of people on screen. He tortures people in the Union prison camp and he slaps Bill Carson's lover to get more information, but he only kills a total of 3 people, and all of them are in his introduction scene. It goes to show that a good film can present a menacing villain without needing to show him being explicitly violent in every scene. Angel Eyes mainly shows his ability of strategic thinking. He tracks down Bill Carson, successfully infiltrates the Union prison camp as a sergeant. He differentiates his tactics, deciding to torture Tuco, but choosing an alliance with Blondie, and he seems to be a successful leader, having gathered together a fierce band of fellow criminals. Sometimes his aura alone can be enough to intimidate the audience. Turning back to Blondie and Tuco, a great portion of this film is devoted to their interactions, a contrast between the man of little words and the man of many words. The perfect frenemies, constantly double-crossing each other, but in the end, they're happy to have each other as allies.
Blondie, I'm very happy you're working with me, and we're together again. I get dressed, I kill him, be right back.
They join forces to go against Angel Eyes and his fellow gangsters, and it's heartwarming to see Tuco and Blondie both go to shoot Angel Eyes at the end instead of shooting each other. You even see Tuco go to draw his gun when Angel Eyes threatens to shoot Blondie a few moments before. Their banter is so fun to watch.
See you soon, idiots.
Hmm? It's for you.
And they offer so many quotable lines.
You see, in this world, there's 2 kinds of people, my friend. Those with loaded guns, and those who dig. You dig.
When you have to shoot, don't talk.
Tuco and Blondie might often play with the idea of killing each other, but they are, at the end of the day, comfortable with sharing the reward. Whereas, with Angel Eyes, I can't envision him being willing to share with anyone. We do not learn much about the characters' backstories, except for a few glimpses and inferences, mainly concerning Tuco. We know that Tuco has a brother who became a clergyman. He's estranged from his family and hasn't seen his brother in 9 years. His childhood friends are Pedro, Chico, and Ramon, who also became outlaws. And from the list of crimes read aloud during his sentencing, we know that Tuco became quite the infamous criminal. It can be assumed that Tuco and Blondie have been partners for some time, although it's unclear for how long exactly. Angel Eyes recognizes Blondie when Tuco's about to be hanged, and they recognize Angel Eyes at the prison camp. They even call each other friends, Tuco and Angel Eyes. So it's clear that the 3 main characters know each other already before the events of the film, but whether they are truly friends or just have mutual respect for each other as fellow outlaws is left to be interpreted. Music. Ennio Morricone's score is so legendary that I bet even people who haven't seen this film have heard that tune somewhere else before. It's almost like having a fourth main character accompanying the film throughout in different forms, be it through whistling, the playing of a flute, a harmonica, a trumpet, a guitar, or a whole orchestra. You'd think that the repetitive score would get annoying after a while, but this isn't the case. On the one hand, that iconic melody is so entertaining that one can't get enough of it, and on the other hand, there do appear other pieces of music that are quite underrated in comparison. For example, listen to this ominous music as we enter the scorching, barren desert. Then there's the recurring somber melody that always accompanies appearances of the Civil War. In contrast, as Tuco finally comes across the Sad Hill Cemetery, we have triumphant music play. Perhaps my personal favorite bit of music in this film is the score of the final standoff. It is just the definition of pure epicness. Cinematography. Right from the opening scene of the movie, we see Sergio Leone's signature style, contrasting extreme close-up shots with extreme wide landscape shots. It's an effective way to convey the emotion of the characters, the mood of the scene, and the spatial surroundings. Panning close-ups enable dramatic reveals as the viewer pieces together what's shown bit by bit, and abrupt cuts between different close-up shots show the minimum essential elements for the audience to understand what's at stake. In contrast, the wide aspect ratio helps convey the sheer immensity and solitude of the desert. As with Sergio Leone's other spaghetti westerns, this film was shot in Spain, which serves as a surprisingly convincing location to replicate the American Wild West. Furthermore, there are examples of creative framing and engaging editing. Lastly, a signature feature of Sergio Leone's style is the deliberate selection of unusual-looking people, making the extreme close-up shots of their faces even more impactful and intriguing. The casting of rugged and unkempt-looking people adds to the realism and immersion within the wartime setting. Suspense. While there are impressive action scenes and stunts in the film, the true excitement lies in the building tension and suspense. The movie can seem quite slow for some viewers, but every moment of silence serves to enhance the anticipation of action. We have to wait a full 10 minutes and 30 seconds before a single word is spoken in the movie.
You're Pro Baker.
In fact, while the biting lines of banter and the badass one-liners that I mentioned before are a significant highlight, the non-verbal moments are equally impressive. The actors are so insanely good at conveying all kinds of different emotions through body language alone. Take, for example, the scene in the gun shop.
Revolvers.
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 All they did was repeat revolvers, but their body language clearly conveyed their meaning. Tuco was looking for revolvers, and the shop owner didn't provide an adequate selection for Tuco. By the way, the following scene is a great example of Eli Wallace's creativity, as he improvises with dismantling and reassembling different revolvers to his liking. Another subtle body language scene that I like is the scene where Angel Eyes hands Blondie his gun back. Angel Eyes is at first very confident as he knows the location of the buried gold and believes to have gotten rid of Tuco for good. But when Blondie shows how quick he is at drawing his revolver, you see Angel Eyes hesitate. I love that little detail that Blondie shows just through his quick movements that he's not to be underestimated, and that Angel Eyes recognizes this too. The ultimate culmination of suspense is reached in the climactic final standoff. No words are spoken for 5 minutes. The tension of the scene is achieved through several factors. First, the scene involves 3 characters who we've gotten to know intimately by watching their shifting alliances and backstabbing competition for over 2 hours. Second, the silence is filled by Ennio Morricone's legendary compositions, which contains a mix of sensations, both of triumph and of tragedy. Third, the body language makes the audience speculate what's going through the minds of the characters. The quickly shifting eyes of Angel Eyes, the twitching fingers of Tuco, the calm composure of Blondie. The agonizing tension rises with every passing second as one wonders who will shoot whom and who will survive. Finally, the cinematography and editing work together in perfect fashion. The close-up shots that make the viewer hyperfixate on the smallest subtlety in expression accelerate in their rapid succession as the music rises to its climax, only to end abruptly in the thunderous sound of a single gunshot. This scene ranks among the best scenes in cinematic history, and perhaps I've now convinced you that The Good, the Bad, and the Ugly is one of the most perfect films that one can experience. A story about friendship and betrayal, war and revenge, greed and mercy, gold and glory. The good, the bad, and the ugly.